Okay, this is a follow-on. This is part 3. This is an extra bit I'm going to show you because there's some points on the underside here I want to show you before I turn it over and carry on with the rest of the valve fitment, etc. I don't think I mentioned that here, see this rail here, this uninsulated rail running through here? This is positive. And you notice it's running directly underneath these electrolytic capacitors. Obviously these are the ones I've replaced, and you notice I've mounted them on felt pads. They are raised, so there's now no longer any contact or possibility of contact between this uninsulated rail positive and usual shell negative. The original ones were touching. It's a miracle they weren't shorting out. Probably only the paint was stopping them from shorting out. It's crazy. Another point is this is the negative bias trimmer for the control grid. Some previous tech had solid glued this in some sort of red cement stuff, so that you couldn't move it. Luckily I managed to solve that problem and it's now operational. Let's have a look. Oh yes, where are we? Down here. This was the original one was 100 kilo ohm plate resistor, which had risen to 147k, so I replaced it with a new one. Another point was this amp came out of a skip, and it was chucked in a skip and severely damaged. And part of the damage was that this Bakelite turret board had snapped, and previous tech had, looks like, been araldited together and reinforcing washers put on, which is fine. Unfortunately, because I put all these new components on, you can see the turret boards go into this araldite solution, so that was a bit of a pain because as I heated up, all the araldite started melting, and then it was a wild job. Anyway, but I sorted it in the end. I had some real issues with this because when I couldn't get it to run properly. Done endless tests on it and it was inconclusive. Then I discovered, and I'll tell you how I use it. Believe me, some of the best tools you will ever have in this job belong to a dentist. See here we have a 45-degree dental tool. Obviously I can't do it. If you get a torch and shine it into the mirror, you can see underside. As you can see, there are connections underside of this turret board. And it was the case that 4 or 5 instances on this amp alone was that when I replaced the caps or whatever, or resistors, some of these connections were just loose, a very small amount of solder was applied to the wire that was poking out of the bottom. So when you heated this up, say, to raise it, to change it, the wire fell off. And I said it happened several times. And this board is a right pain. There's only 6 bolts hold it on, but it has been assembled in such a way there's hardly any free play on the cables, and you can only move it about 3/4 inch high on this side and nothing on this side. To move it any more, you'd have to desolder everything to flip it over. So what I did yet again was I went carefully with a torch, looked all along at both sides until I found the wires that were hanging off, not attached to nothing, and then I resoldered them, mostly top side. For example, there's one there, there's a plate, no, it's cathode, sorry, and some more around somewhere, one here, it's a plate, and there are a couple more somewhere else, I can't remember exactly. But yeah, once I sorted all that out and I finally found them all, it then fired up and worked correctly. So now I also cleaned all the pots out. Cleaned all them. They're great, high quality British components back from the 70s. They're working perfectly to this day, including all the jack sockets. They're just quality. You just don't get these days. Stuff from China is junk. Yeah, that's it. Like I said, we're going to carry on now. This was part 3, I believe. The next part you'll see is part 4, and that'll be valve installation and setting the bias, which will, as I said, we will be able to adjust it via this trimmer here, and we'll see how we get on. Bye bye.